Welcome everyone to another episode of the Two Texas T podcast. This will be a shorter episode because we do have a very special gift for you at the end of this episode, which is an interview with the renowned Ariel Slick, who and she and us and I, whatever the right grammar is, will be talking about Texas infrastructure as it relates to natural disasters. So if anyone remembers the shut off of the electricity in 2021, or unfortunately the terrible floods that happened, was it last year in San Antonio? These are the kind of the topics we're going to be
this July, this past July.
Yeah, and and then these are the type of topics we'll be talking about, covering Central Texas. But before that, Lawson is currently waiting in line at the airport, and it doesn't look like that because her background is as digital and AI, but she's been waiting in line to fly to go to I guess Cancun since Sunday. So Lawson, can write to you with a live from the airport. Tell us what has your wait been like?
I will tell you, I am nervous. So I have like the My TSA app, and I sent you the screenshot, Dawn. Like it was just like basically like we're in a shutdown, so this app and any social media platforms, they're not actively being looked at. So good luck. Kind of like real like passive aggressive, like we're not here, we're not getting paid, so you're on your own, kid, kind of like conversations. I've been like right now I'm on flysanantonio.com to just kind of see what like the average wait time is, and currently it's like 20 and 10 minutes. San Antonio's been pretty good about like keeping things flowing. Initially we were going to be flying like I think in or out of like LAX, which made me like super nervous because I think like on a normal like everything's open kind of situation, LAX is just a nightmare. So I was already like dreading what that was going to look like, but instead we're going to be flying out of San Francisco to come back home. So I'm optimistically hopeful that it'll be a little better, but I know Austin, we had a friend that they were in their TSA line for 4 hours earlier this weekend, I think Friday or Saturday. So not fun. I will have to report back to see just kind of how it goes. I also am like curious because I know that like ICE has gotten like recruited to be a part of TSA. There's been so much like just kind of like jabs getting poked at them for a lot of reasons. They're seeing that these ICE agents look like they're children. They're very young.
All agents.
And yeah, they look like babies. Like they like I'm like I don't even think that you like are you like did you get a permission slip from your parents to be able to be here and out of school? Like what's the deal? Like they look so young. And then also like I'm hearing like it's still the TSA agent and then the ICE agent. So like and the ICE agent just kind of like I'm here for as a warm body. So I'm curious just to kind of see like what this dynamic looks like, especially in San Antonio, and also in California. I mean, there's a high like Hispanic population in both states, right? And so in both areas. So it's gonna be send all your thoughts and prayers my way because I'm kind of nervous about it. And then like coincidentally of all days to like wear this shirt. So this is during the snowstorm, Casey Musgraves was doing like a fundraiser for all those affected with the snow. And it was, it says cruisin' for a bruisin' from when Ted Cruz left the...
He said everything was in good hands. He didn't need to be here. He can't physically do anything. He said, why can I not just go to Cancun?
He left his dog Snowflake
be all right.
to just fend for herself. It was so bad. So anyway, so I'm hoping I have like Ted Cruz energy of like just like flying through these TSA checkpoints and getting on my plane with like no hesitation. But it's a 5 a.m. flight, so wish me luck. I don't think I'm sleeping very much today.
For those who do not know, so the TSA have not been, I guess the root of it is they're lacking funding from I guess the Democrats and Republicans in Congress not agreeing upon the Department of Homeland Security funding. It started on February the 14th, 2026. It's a partial shutdown, so other parts of the government are open, but DHS, because we know of many of the incidences that they've been in the news, and for the controversy sake, the Democrats have been like, well, I don't know. I'm gonna say Democrats. Republicans will say Democrats. Democrats will say Republicans. Basically, they're not being funded. However, there have been attempts
Yeah.
to try to fund DHS partially, but those attempts were shot down by the House just like a few days ago. So everyone has to
Mhm.
fend for themselves. I have a couple questions. Number one, have you rented a car in like as a backup plan?
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our Two Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing.
No.
Wow.
So it's no, because it's like a whole day drive.
It's
I mean,
a
from
fun
here to
drive.
El Paso, it's 8 hours from here to El Paso. Then it's another 10 hours to San Diego. Like that's
Amazing.
an 18-hour drive.
Amazing.
No, with my kid in the car, like
Amazing.
this
He's
is
probably having a great time.
negative. Now, if it was just me, I have plenty of Audible books that I can get through to like make my life
You can
a
listen to
dream.
Audible too.
But no, absolutely not. My kid is. Let me tell you, this boy has been on so many flights that he's just like, we're not going to do a direct connect. It's not a nonstop. We have to swap planes, and I'm just like, oh my god, like.
Wow. Calm down.
The privilege is saturated. I know. And then he's like, what is it? Who are we flying with? And I'm like, oh, we're going to
Ooh.
fly with American, whatever. He's
Ooh.
like, oh, so not Southwest, right? I'm like, oh my
Ooh.
God.
He has
Oh my God.
preferences
Like
on
my boy is bougie. Oh, he has so many preferences because he's like, the snacks are better on Delta. And I'm like, everything's better on Delta, my guy.
Yeah,
Like, hello.
yeah.
But like, this is we are balling on a budget because so we're doing 4 MLB stadiums in 5 days, plus Universal Hollywood, so we could do Hogwarts and Mario Land, Super Mario World.
Leviosa.
I'm already exhausted. I am already tired. I am already looking forward to being like mush on my couch when I get back, because I'm going to be just completely just bag of bones. But yeah, it's going to be a great time.
So yes, Delta does have the best snacks and everything else like that. I've never flown Southwest before because they've never been the cheapest, so I can't really say to that. But
Really?
I know, and I've tried to, and people have like strongly been like, honestly, this is another Texas thing, probably unique for the podcast. Is before I moved to the San Antonio Austin region, Southwest was not even a really like front of mind when it came to traveling, because in North Carolina and Ohio, it's always been like Delta Airlines, American. And at a long time ago, there used to be a airline called Midway that was kind of like the hub was in North Carolina, and I used to love flying them because they used to give kids like the wings, and they used to let the kids come into the cockpit and like look at everything. And I guess I wanted to be a pilot when I was younger, and that Midway was really big in wanting to help fuel that belief. But when I came down here, everybody was like, "Oh, if you need to fly anywhere, you need to take Southwest Airlines," and I was like, "What? What is with Southwest?" And then they're like, "Oh, you can sit wherever you want." I'm like, Greyhound? I don't know. Does that make it better? I don't know, but no, never flown Southwest before. When you're not driving, which is crazy because that is one of the most amazing drives from San Antonio westward. But to each their own.
I did the drive once upon a time when I was younger. I'm good. I'm good. But we have like several different so Larry, my husband's been the one that's been like planning like the trend. Like, so Larry plans how we get there. I plan what we do when we're there, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, so that's kind of like we tag team that. So I try not to get too involved in that because that stresses me out. Like, I will be very honest. We are recording this on Monday. I fly out tomorrow, like I said, at 5 a.m. Dawn, he has still not booked our hotels.
Yeah, you get there when you get there. It looks like a movie. Like, hey, y'all got any rooms? Yep. All right.
You know what?
I understand that. You just YOLO it.
So we are, but we are different. We are different. Like I am the person that gets there like 4 hours in advance from at the airport because I want to make sure my terminal is still standing, kind of thing. Like I'm like I gotta check the gate, gotta make sure the gate number is still the same. Like I need to make sure like planes can still dock there, kind of thing, and then check out where the best food is, whatever. Like I am like locked in at the airport freaking early. Larry is like, boarding starts at like 4:20. We don't have to be there until 4:15. And I'm like, no,
I'm
like
a little bit
absolutely
like
not.
Larry.
Like stresses me out.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, I'm not. Like I have my hotel book like months in advance. My flight tickets are like already like in my wallet like months in advance. I don't fly like that. So it is it's not my favorite.
I have been notorious when it comes to like I am a spontaneous travel person. So there have been many times
Mhm.
where I will just be like, I'm flying here and I don't have anything planned when I get there. And I'm just like, oh well, I'll find a hotel whenever I get to one. And if I get to one, usually hotels are really good about it. I mean, you might have to pay a more expensive rate. But I think I found like
Mhm.
a little glitch in the system on how you can even really get a good hotel like an hour, a few hours before you get there because hotels are like, please, thank goodness that you've gotten here. So I understand Larry's like approach, but then if I was traveling with someone, then I'd probably be like, all right, well, let's get these hotels in. But he's probably thinking about it pragmatically. He's like, are we even really gonna make it on the plane? Because we're gonna have to wait like 18 hours in the airport. I mean, you're still at the airport right now. How close have you gotten since the beginning of the conversation?
Absolutely none. We are it feels like and that's the thing, like some of these like airports, it feels like Black Friday circa 2004.
Mm,
Like I feel like some people are literally treating this like a Best Buy camp out, like waiting for like the next Game Boy Advance to drop. Like it is crazy. And so I'm not looking forward to that cuz especially cuz I have my kid and he just
mm,
like he gets so impatient because he's part of like the generation of like everything's now.
mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot for me to have to it's one thing for me to have to deal with it. It's another for me to have to like entertain to other people. So
Yes.
we'll see how that goes.
Are you going to? So this is for the audience. Lawson is saying that she's going to live stream when she's on her way back, just to let everyone know about like what to expect when you're traveling. So
Absolutely not.
be looking out for a Two Texas T live stream from the line, the TSA line that's wrapping around LAX. Or are you flying in San Diego? Or flying
We
back?
are flying into San Diego. Yeah, we're flying into San Diego and then flying out of San Fran.
Live
I
stream
think
from
that,
San
but we
Fran.
do have, I want to say we have a flight from LAX though to San Fran
Mm-hmm.
because of just, so we're doing, so the way that the order of baseball stadiums is it's LA on Tuesday, then it's, I think, San Diego on Wednesday. Thursday there's a gap, so we're doing Universal, and then Friday is I think I think Anaheim, and then on Saturday is the Giants. So a lot of travel. We're taking trains. Literally, it's
Ooh.
planes, trains, and automobiles.
This
Like we're
is
taking it all, and
This
I'm
sounds like a
excited.
great trip. This is an amazing trip. Just
Yes.
do you Universal
Yeah.
Studios, baseball games, trains, and planes.
Mm-hmm.
Does Luke understand? Does he understand? This is he's living the life.
Oh yeah. Kid's just
Uh,
vibing. He's just there. He's like, just tell me where to show up, man. I'm like, all right, cool.
um,
I've packed your underwear for you.
I
So
mean,
you're good.
you're gonna have to do that for the next 10 years. Like that's usually how it goes when as the mom. So just
Yeah.
kind of shrug. It's like I'm out here
Yeah.
packing underwear and waiting in lines, but we don't have a hotel room yet.
Literally. Like, so my bag has been packed for like 2 weeks.
What? That's okay.
Yeah.
That's too preparedness.
Yeah.
Like, what if the weather
Yeah.
changes during the week?
Nope.
Wow.
So I packed my bag with all the things that because again, I have to pack for the game that we're going to see.
Mhm.
So I'm like packing in like team colors. And my thing is like, if I pack it already, then I won't wear it. Therefore, I don't have to do laundry for it. So it's already
Mm-mm.
set and locked in. So that's like, and I don't have to be like, cause I stress and like, it's a whole situation. So I've been packed.
Like, just
I'm
say you're
good.
tapping your fingers on the table. Like any moment now, we'll be on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone in the audience knows, like, if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, just we all know whose house together at first because she probably have
Literally. I have the
Everything ready.
snacks. I have the clothes. Tons of water.
Everything.
Everybody can get. I have enough dogs and a cat that everybody can literally have their own emotional support animal. Like, well, I'm good. Come hang out.
Hey, next time on Two Texas Teas, but we'll do the preparedness. One last question because we do have to make a short episode. What is the shortest time you've ever spent in the TSA check line from like pulling up to the airport to getting on your flight? What do you think?
So, one of our mutual friends and I, Kelly, we went to Seattle. And we decided, because our flight, I think, was like another like 5 a.m. type of flight. So we decided that we were just going to stay up because, like, why go to bed? So we stayed up. We found like the one bar near us. It was open till 2 a.m. because everything like closes early in Seattle. And so we stayed at the bar till 2 a.m., went back to the hotel, packed up our stuff, and then like just beelined it straight to the airport. We didn't even like, it was such a tuck and roll into TSA. Like, and I think the TSA agents had just gotten there. Like, we didn't even have to do pre-check. We literally just were like, they grabbed our bags for us, scanned it, moved in. Like, it probably wasn't even 30 seconds. Like, it was that quick. And then we went and we sat at our gate. I remember that, like, yeah, because like Kelly fell asleep. So I was like, okay, I have to be the one that stays up just in case, like, because if both of us fall asleep, then we're screwed. And we were probably like waiting maybe 30 minutes, and then we just got on our plane and came home. That was fun.
Once in a lifetime. I mean, I'll be real quick about mine. There was a time where I flew from Nigeria back to the United States, and because we were late, they were like, "Don't even worry about it," and they just put it on the plane. They put us on the plane, so that we bypassed.
Oh my
all
God,
security,
that's awesome!
And they were like, "Just get on the plane. No, check your bags. No, check your passports. Nothing. Just from the car to the plane was probably like a couple of minutes. So that was fun.
That is so cool.
I didn't feel safe.
I mean,
though,
honestly, for an international flight too, that's insane.
So that is our episode. Stay tuned for our interview with the author Ariel Slick as we talk about Texas infrastructure. But we will see you in 2 weeks.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace. Hey everyone, we have a special guest with us today, Ariel Slick. We have always talked about wanting to have guests be on the show, guests who knew something about what was going on in Central Texas. And luckily today we have someone who is an expert when it comes to Texas infrastructure. Ariel, I'll open the floor up to you.
Hi. Yeah, I am from Azle, Texas. That is where I graduated high school. I got my bachelor's in history from Rice University and my master's degree from Texas Women's University. So North Texas is where I call home base, and I am really excited to talk about, Texas and the sexiest of all topics, infrastructure.
Listen, I think infrastructure is incredibly sexy. So.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our Two Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing.
Definitely, and thank you for being here with us today. So if we dive into it, I'll let you talk to us a little bit about your research and what book you're writing about right now, and how you even got into researching, I guess, the different environmental effects in Texas infrastructure.
Definitely. So this all started because I'm currently writing a book on the Fort Worth flood of 1949, where the Trinity River broke the levees and basically inundated Fort Worth. There were about 10 square miles just completely underwater. About 8 people died, and in today's dollars, there was about $250 million worth of damage. So I've been basically digging around the Tarrant County archives, reading newspaper after newspaper. And so that got me curious about the current state of Texas's infrastructure and whether it has been able to keep pace with all of the population growth changes, technology changes, and just simply, aging and things like that.
Really excited about this conversation because I know I'm interested to hear more about the Fort Worth flood. You mentioned that there were 8 fatalities that came out of that. San Antonio has its own history with flooding. We've had there was a major flood that happened several decades ago on the west side due to poor infrastructure. This was also a really impoverished part of town and it was also during a part of San Antonio's history where it was very marginalized, very segregated communities, very Black and Brown communities that this impacted. And then recently, we had within the year we had a really bad flood that ended up resulting in several fatalities as well. And you talk about Texas infrastructure, even down in the Rio Grande Valley, their infrastructure and drainage or lack of drainage infrastructure is very poignant. So I think it was really insightful and it kind of piqued my interest to hear that you were talking about Fort Worth, because when we think Dallas and Fort Worth, we think of how the rapid growth, right? And the progress and the modernization that you see in that part of Texas. And you see this with the economic growth, the population growth. So to hear about the infrastructure, just kind of give some thoughts and on kind of where you're seeing a disconnect and what could we learn from history that you've been able to study.
Definitely. So what we can learn from history is that there will always be a next natural disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use the phrase flood management, but you can't really ever manage a flood. You can mitigate risk. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot better to say flood risk mitigation, because there will always be a next. So the really important lesson is to try to forecast and then build beyond what like you think, is necessary, because it there will always be a next, testing of, levees, dams and things like that. And
Do you
so oh,
do you also think like I mean talking about the excessive growth and development, I know so for those that don't know, my husband's a civil engineer. He deals in traffic. He does the signs and roadway work on things. But we talk about how when things are overly developed, you lose that natural absorber of water. So that complete like just constant flow of things, it's not the soil is not as dense, right? Like concrete does not absorb water or asphalt does not absorb water at the same rate that like natural soils do. So do you think like also considering just like that part of development and those impacts, and you talk about mitigation, I'm really glad that you said that because I think that I always joke that San Antonio, when they were building the 1604, which anybody who's from San Antonio or who has driven out here knows like that is a big headache of a loop, because they said, well, we had 100-year plan of growth, but what does that look like? Like, how do you like what it like when you really forecast for growth? They obviously missed the mark. The DOT missed the mark on what that growth was going to look like, right? So you talk about like drainage systems and a risk mitigation plan. How far out do you foresee those types of things? Like, what are the different elements and variables that you're looking at?
So, as far as creating maybe more porous structures, that is under the umbrella of green solutions. So, yeah,
Hmm.
making concrete that is more porous that can absorb all that water. Because what happens in floods is that, yeah, there's all this concrete and there's a very level surface. So, once the water breaches any sort of, dam or levee, it is very quickly just, spreads everywhere, and that's where a lot of damage happens. So it's always the drawback of green solutions is that it takes a lot of capital, and a lot
Hmm.
of companies or the state say, "Oh, there's not enough funding." And so it really goes back to having to demand funding from Congress at the state and federal levels.
So I saw that your work has been linked to Texas Highways and Texas Co Power. As far as your
Hmm.
experience, I guess probably in the same rooms, a lot of Texas legislatures and representatives and other TxDOT, everybody's favorite Texas department. How have those conversations gone? Like, what are they very receptive to what's going on? Do you think they already have really good plans, or I mean, I'm assuming considering that there's a book coming out, there's probably a lot more that they could do.
There is a lot more that they could do, because honestly, one thing that happens time and again throughout history is that it's never a priority until it's an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
immediately after the flood of 49, there was this huge demand for appropriation of funds. But then once the emergency dies down, everyone sort of forgets and goes on life as normal. So to get a legislator's attention on this is very difficult because it's hard to convince someone, oh look, we need to improve this bridge or this dam or levee, when their constituents might be saying, hey, we need more jobs, we need to lower the price of food, we need to fix a million other problems. I just happen to think that water might be the most important resource we have, and to see it ignored is kind of like there's a cognitive dissonance that shouldn't be there.
Agree with that. I don't know how much you're familiar with, but like Corpus is in a sense of chaos right now because their local government just gave an announcement that they are they are sparse on their water resource for the community, and they are looking at like a timeline of a year before they are out of water that can support their community, which is crazy because it's, and also ironic because Corpus is next to an ocean, right, or a gulf. And so, when looking at that, in San Antonio, we have the Edwards Aquifer. And for several years, Edwards Aquifer was supported by a 1/8 cent tax that the city would receive. They are no longer supported with that, right? So then you look at how are we ensuring that we are doing the most to protect our water systems. What are we doing? Talking about TxDOT, right? Like, what are they doing to support out of the box solutions that can have long term effects on it? I know at the federal level, there was a bipartisan bill that is being presented to help give more incentives for green belts in infrastructure projects to be included, which I think is really cool. I know that Dallas has a really awesome overpass green park, right? That is one that I always use an example for what an idea that they were looking at here in San Antonio for Project Marvel. And so I think that I really did like the idea of you going back into looking at this historical flood, and then just kind of like as somebody who unintentionally knows too much about Texas flooding, kind of connecting the dots to realize we're not so different. I think that a lot of us feel like it's just our city, it's just our little corner of the world that is going through with this, but kind of balancing that the issues that we have with having to fund existing problems in our infrastructure while also thinking of solutions for the future. And then looking at this last legislative session, I know that the DOT didn't really strong arm to get more funding. They didn't push for a lot of it. It also got like it kind of took a back burner from the voucher program and all the big, real loud agenda items that were on there. I wanted to say propaganda, but I guess it wasn't propaganda because now it's like here. But like everybody else's pet projects, the governor's pet projects, right? So now the DOT doesn't have the funding that they need to support a lot of their projects, even that they were projected, where now a lot of those projects are on like this like to be determined moratorium and have been shelved, which then hurts the private sectors of those that have actually in the workforce. So I feel like to this point and to the point that you made about like funding, right? Like the domino effect that it has on communities from economic development, workforce development, bridging the gap on disparities and marginalized and impoverished communities. Like what, like, and who at the end of the day, like, where does the buck stop? Like, and have you been able to figure out like who, who's taking the brunt and who should be accountable for some of these issues?
Right. So I guess to the point of funding, in my research, I think according to the Tarrant Regional Water Board, their 2024 flood state uh, risk assessment, which
Hmm.
was the very first state flood plan ever, they
Wow.
discovered that there basically needs to be $54 billion invested to get Texas like basically up to speed to fix all of their flood infrastructure. And right now there's only been 1.5 billion dollars appropriated to.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so I think there just needs to be more awareness of this, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that essentially everyone lives in a flood zone, even if you don't realize it, or even if, you're in a county where you're not immediately next to a river.
Mm-hmm.
But, since I forget which year, but basically, according to the American Engineering report card for Texas, there has been essentially a flood emergency, I guess, alert for every single county in Texas. So
Mhm.
essentially, this is not just a problem for people who live right next to a river or on a coastal area.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody is affected. And to, you know, communities, again, everyone is connected, and so it's really interesting how these systems interact. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, we can fix, like, the flood infrastructure." It's, flood infrastructure, it's drinking water, it's wastewater, it's sewage, because interestingly, I'm sorry for you people in Houston, like, the water that is treated, the wastewater that is treated from the Trinity River is
Mm.
essentially, like, flows into the Trinity River, which then flows, down to Houston. So, you can't just, localize something and say, "Okay, this county, you're on your own." Like, it truly does need to be, like, a state, effort level.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our Two Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing.
To kind of add is that, and you brought up the point. So as a person who is I guess reflect. So as a person who's not from Texas, I had no concept of or understanding like how Central Texas dealt with flooding in general. You moved to San Antonio, and it was just my first time ever living in Texas, and I moved to Austin later on. But in San Antonio specifically, even the slightest bit of rain just causes so much damage in so many parts of the city, and it's not something that you would think of living in San Antonio. And having to explain that to friends and family that are outside of Texas, you're like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a thunderstorm, half the city is underwater, and there's an issue. And then I remember, I think it was 2018, 2019, we had like a band of a hurricane kind of appear over San Antonio, and that caused so much just so much damage in itself. And then to highlight what you said earlier, there are a lot of people moving to Texas. I mean, Texas is a destination. The Central Texas region, out down I-35, so many people are moving there. However, the people who are moving here maybe or maybe not know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not a concern of like, oh, I'm moving to a flood zone, because I guess as most people treat disasters is like, oh, that's never going to happen to me, until it definitely does. And now combining that with the fact that there's a need of $54 billion in order to mitigate some of these problems, but we don't really have that many. Like, what is, like, for people who are moving to Texas in the Central Texas region, what would you hope that they understand before they move down here? It's like, or what are some things they may be able to do?
Right. So with the population growth, there I'll give a couple of statistics, and then, basically they speak for themselves, but basically by 2070, Texas's population will almost double. So we'll have
Mm.
about um like 40-50 million people, give or take, but it is going to increase fast. And so if there's no change to the way at least our drinking water systems are managed, or if there's no upkeep, basically, if there's a drought, then about 10% of people will have no water. Or excuse me, 10% of the water supplies, like, they will not have access to. So basically what that means is like 500,000 people will not have access to water at all by 2070 if there is a drought. So
Mm.
suddenly, you know, that like that's a pretty startling like number. And then if there like is no correction to supplying water for people, that does in fact cost, the state of Texas, because suddenly, if you don't have drinking water, um that like costs, work time, and so the state would actually lose about $153 billion
Mm.
in economic revenue,
Yeah.
because suddenly people are trying to figure out, where am I going to get drinking water? So fixing these problems is not just a matter of what do we do in an emergency. It's preventing loss of income, loss of jobs, and ultimately, protecting Texans.
It's funny because like I was actually thinking about this the other day. We are a red state, and we are very proud, for whatever it's worth, to be a red state, because we have created this imaginary idea that being a red state with a Republican president, that means that we have more access to funding and resources. And if you look back at it, I mean, we had Rick Perry, who ended up going to work at the federal level. We had Bush, who went from being governor to being president. We have now this weird direct line to Trump at the federal level, but yet I've not seen an increase of funding to support the issues that are still incredibly problematic here in Texas, even if we have any type of alliances at the federal level. And so it really does make me wonder, like, how much are we pushing to get the funding to support Texas, because it is large. Like people outside of Texas, and Don, I know you and I have had conversations about this, like nobody realizes like you can drive 10 hours in Texas and still be in Texas. And so how, like, it just feels like there should be a priority to maintain this state, and to maintain and to bring the state up to par, because we are not landlocked in a lot of areas in Texas the way that some of these other, like California. Oh my God, they're on top of each other. New York is on top of each other, right? Like some of these other like prime, um, more affluent states, right? But we have so many like there's no state tax here. Like, and a lot of businesses want to take advantage of that, but I don't think that we really do a good job of, one, lobbying for ourselves as a state, doing more public private partnerships to negotiate for the private sectors or the businesses that want to come here to then reinvest into some of the issues or the infrastructures that are going to be needed. Dripping Springs a few years ago put a moratorium on development because they didn't think that they had the utility resources to protect and to support a lot of the growth of residential growth, which I remember talking to somebody who's in economic development here at one of the chambers, and it was like, how far are we in Bexar County to a situation like that, because we just don't have the bandwidth to support that. San Antonio is real big on data centers right now, and that is a real funky kind of it's becoming the rail of before, Ariel, for reference, San Antonio like totally ambushed the idea of rail, public transit, and it became like a boogeyman word. Now data centers are becoming that, like the modern boogeyman word, because while it does not increase traffic into neighborhoods, it's taking up our water supply, and so it becomes how, with the current federal administration, removing a lot of regulations that support and protect our natural resources, like how do we foresee that being just kind of history repeating itself, or do we see this being more problematic than what even history shows us? Like, what are you and those that are really keeping an eye on this? Like, what does a pulse check look like?
I think basically people should keep in mind that according to the American Engineering Report Card, so Texas has basically they graded A, B, C, D. Texas has a D rating on their levies, on drinking water,
Wow.
on wastewater. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
needs to be a wake-up call because the the infrastructure is only going to get older. So that that's you know cracks and just faulty piping. So if you don't like drinking lead and copper and forever
It's
chemicals in
delicious.
your
Yeah, it's
water,
just
contact your legislator because um
It gives a whole other
this
meaning to mineral water, right?
yeah, so honestly, I think humans are very good at underestimating the severity that a problem will have. Like we have these population projections. They might
Yeah.
skyrocket. We have, projections of, oh, this particular levee can withstand a like, 1 in 500 years flood, but with climate change
Yeah.
that could easily change. And so the ability to, I think people tend to say, okay, this is what we project, so this is what we need to do. And I honestly think it should be, okay, this is what we project. So just in case, like still including that buffer.
Yeah. This one hits home for me when you talk about drinking water because back home I'm from a real rural town in South Texas called San Diego, Texas, and I'm talking like caliche, like rocky roads, potholes the size of like Mars. Like we have this one oil tycoon whose estate ends up paying for road improvements because we cannot afford or we don't know how to advocate for ourselves to find funding, and it is a whole thing. But they moved the water tower. And where they moved it was actually right, it was very adjacent, almost on top of like it overlapped on a uranium plant. And once they did that, the increase of cancer went up. I lost in the last 15 years, I've lost 4 classmates. Several of the people that lived around us, if you were in proper San Diego, so there's also people that live in county roads and they have their own water systems and water wells because it's a rural community. But if you lived in San Antonio proper, or sorry, San Diego proper, and you had to use the water tower and the water system in town, those people were getting sick. And it was and it wasn't even the same type of cancer. It was leukemia, it was brain cancer, it was breast cancer, it was lung cancer. It was taking out people left and right. And so the ironic joke is back home, there's always a plate sale going on because somebody else has cancer back home.
hmm.
And it's due to and we've seen a trend, and it's not a secret that it's the water system. Like the water system, like once the water tower moved, all of a sudden cancer became a signature ailment back home. And it blows people's minds. They're like, well, weren't there any regulations? And it's just like, no, like there was not the type of protections 30 years ago, 25 years ago that there are today. And then now we're seeing those regulations being completely taken back, right? And just having a very small study focus group of what that looks like, I'm it alarms me to think of what it could do to some of these major metro cities, right? Like a Dallas, Fort Worth, like a San Antonio, Austin area, like, like a Houston. Because I just don't think that we're giving science enough credit when it comes to how like what are the impacts of today gonna derail for tomorrow. And as a mom, that worries me beyond even like the existential crises and intrusive thoughts that I have on a regular basis.
Right. So man, so y'all were just almost literally like your own like Aaron Brockovich situation.
Literally. And it's still that way. Like this is not something that's gone away. It's just we've moved away.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think like what people need to realize, like with population growth, which means not only are people drinking more water because there are more people, but people are producing more waste because we
Mhm.
have more people. And so those like twin forces are going to strain the water system. And it's yeah, like the waste has to go somewhere. Like when people, think about waste, they think about it like just going off in this like never zone, but like it sticks around.
Mhm.
And so and ironically, waste water, like treatment plants produce their own waste because you have,
Mm-hmm.
so they are an enormous methane emitter.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so we have to like think of solutions that like create like this neutral impact on the environment, because it all has to go somewhere. And
Right.
so
I mean, that just domino effect for like ozone issues, like atmospheric issues. Like we like, I don't even think people understand like like no pun intended, but maybe pun intended, the ripple effect that happens when we don't take care of our water systems effectively. Don knows I'm
exactly.
here for a good dad joke.
Hey, I'm trying to hold it in because the topic is serious, but you got to throw them in there every once in a while. So, Ariel, I guess the summary for everyone who's listening to the podcast is that despite Texas's rating on infrastructure being a D, everything is perfect. So the research that's coming out no, I'm just joking. So
Right.
Ariel, the book is coming
Just
out.
that.
Exactly. Let us know, let the audience know what to expect, where they can learn more about you as a writer, other works that you've written, and when they can expect the book to be released.
Right. So the book is slated to be released sometime early 2027. So there is no publication date yet. So therefore, your listeners should go to my website, arielslickwrites.com, and sign up for my email newsletter so they can be the first to know when that will drop.
Excellent, excellent. And then with that, everyone, thank you so much, Ariel. Thank you so much, Lawson. If you want to learn more about our guests, you can click on the show notes and learn more. You can visit our website, as you mentioned. But that is our interview. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
Well, thank you. You made me look smart because everybody thinks I just probably come up here and yap about Hogwarts and Star Wars. And I was like, no, I know things. People keep asking Dawn, why do you have her on there? She's just there for yaps and vibes, apparently. So this was a really great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
So you've made it to the end of another Two Texas Teas podcast. We appreciate it. If you want to learn more about us, learn more about what we're doing, want to buy some merchandise, please visit our website at twotexasteas.com. Visit our social media, like, subscribe, share, talk to people about it, and let's grow this fan base. Thank you all.
See you next time. We did it.